Make the ground shake.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Today we're going to be playing some more Madden NFL 17, and we're going to be going over each position slash group and their most important attributes that you should be looking for when buying players on MUT. We're just going to go straight down the list. We're going to start with the quarterback. The quarterback's probably the more obvious one to most people, but we'll go over it anyway. But the important stats you'd be wanting to look at is throw accuracy short, throw accuracy medium, and then obviously deep as well. And you're also going to be worried about the throwing power. You obviously want your quarterback to be throwing the ball hard. You don't want him throwing the lollipops up over there. Next up is the halfbacks. Now, some of the important categories here include speed. You obviously want to be fast, and then agility. I like agility because it helps with cutting, sliding through the gaps and so forth. And acceleration, acceleration's how fast you get to that top speed. So you need a high acceleration to reach that max speed. And finally, we got two more. Next one I put on here was stamina. Why? Because if you're buying a guy like Emmitt Smith, you don't want your guy getting tired 4 plays into the thing where he's got the red dot on him or he's got the orange, and you do not want him running because it will definitely slow him down. So you definitely don't want that unless you do happen to be running a two-headed monster in the backfield. Then you might not be too concerned about it. But then finally, we got trucking, which is the ability to break tackles. It depends on the type of runner you are. I don't do many finesse moves, juking, spinning, whatever. I prefer just the truck stick guys, but there are times where juking can be effective. If you're that kind of runner, elusiveness is also important for you as well. All right, so next up is fullbacks. And do people actually buy fullbacks? I don't know. We're going to go over them anyway. His stats would, it depends on how you use them. If you get a fullback, to help with the runs, then obviously impact blocking, etc., stuff like that is important. But if you're using your fullback, I don't know, to do a lot of fullback runs, then you're going to want to follow some of the running back stats as well. Next up we got is the wide receiver position. One of the most important things I think is important is catching traffic, because you're always catching the ball in traffic, especially if you're a tight end, but we're doing receivers right now. But I mean, it's, you're always catching the ball in traffic, and you always see your guy, he drops it, they break it up. Catching traffic is going to help with that, causing you not to drop that ball as often or let them break it up. Hold on to it, keep stronger. Then obviously catching's the next important category we're going to put on the list. You guys can't catch the ball, we're going to have some problems because he is playing receiver. Then we're going to have speed. You want to be able to be faster than the corner. It helps create separation, helps with the deep balls, so that's definitely important. And finally, we're going to throw in jumping and spectacular catch. Put them together because by the way it looks, once again, there's some OP aggressive catches in this year's game still around, so people are obviously going to be big on throwing the deep balls, and if that's what you're into, aggressive catching, you're going to obviously need spectacular catch and jumping. Some people do not know this, but spectacular catch also helps your wide receivers with the sideline catches, tapping the 2 feet in bounds, so that can help you as well. Next up we got is the tight end. A little bit of, actually quite a few similar things as the tight or wide receiver, but also you want to make sure he can run block as well, because if he is sitting there for the block, you want to make sure he's got some good run blocking. But obviously you want to have tight ends is even more important for catching traffic, because they're constantly, they're always in traffic. Rarely do you see them running a streak pattern down the middle of the field, but they do that sometimes. But a lot of times they're in between 2 linebackers trying to make a catch, so it is important for them to be able to do that. And obviously, with the run blocking, strength is going to be important, and catching is important as well. Obviously, you want them to be able to run routes, create the separation on man-to-man, but again, if they're in zone, doesn't help as much, but it still does. Next up we have is the offensive line as a whole. Obviously, it's going to be very important that your lineman can pass block. You want a high pass block, high run block. Both are very important. Depending on your type of game, you might, if you're into passing more than running, you're obviously going to look for more pass blocks. But if your game's running the football 50-60% of the time, you're going to be wanting to look at more run play or run blocking. And then strength is also important because it boosts your ability to pass block and run block. If you are out strengthening, I don't know if that's a word, but if you're out strengthening the defensive line, it's definitely going to help them from, block shedding and running you over to get to your ball carrier / quarterback. Which leads us next to the defensive line. One of the most important stats, I think, is the block shedding. The ability to get off a block is what block shedding is, and it's very important because it definitely will help you stop the run when the guys are coming up the gap. It'll help you get off that block and tackle that run carrier, which leads us to stat number 2, tackling. Obviously, if you're getting off that block and you go and try to tackle the guy and you don't tackle him, that's going to be a problem. So tackling is important to get that to a solid number as well. And one of the ones I picked was power moves. As you see this, he's got a 92 over on his power move. But, you know, as it sounds, power move is used to outpower the offensive line pretty much and get to the quarterback. Helps you get, you know, on the pass blocking from the other end. It helps you get by them. And once again, we're going to throw in strength for a lineman position. Again, because you need high strength to do these power moves. And it helps with block shedding as well. Once again, if you're getting helped strength by the other lineman, it's going to make, you know, your power moves less effective. So you want to be strong. 90 strength is fantastic. I'm sure a lot of guys ain't as strong as that, but there still are some out there. Next up we have is the linebacker position. And now we're going to start to see stuff like play recognition become very important, because as a linebacker you need to be able to recognize pass run very quickly to go ahead and start, you know, get into the right coverage, get into attacking that run and so forth. Next we're going to get into is zone coverage. I think it's important. You don't need to have some outstanding 90 zone coverage, but at the same time it is important to realize that your linebackers are in zone a lot during the game, and you want to make sure they can, you know, recognize where they are in the field and have good coverage. And then we're going to throw in block shedding. As always, once again, it is important to be able to stop the run. And again, when a linebackers, you know, they're part of that box, part of the 7-8 man box, they want to be able to shoot them gaps, get off blocks, and tackle that ball carrier. And then finally we're going to put in tackle, pursuit, put them together because you see a lot of them 92, 89. A lot of them are really close together, so we'll just bundle together for a couple reasons. But one being, you know, pursuit helps you catch up to the ball carrier and tackle him. So, you know, linebackers in the open field all the time. So it's very important for them to be able to go ahead and catch up the guys and also be able to tackle them in the open space. Next up we got is safeties. Once again, we're going to throw in play recognition. Safeties need to be able to determine the play, read routes, jump them, you know, etc. They don't want to be able to get beat. It's important for a safety to be able to analyze the field and determine what the play is going to be. Then we're going to throw in zone coverage. Zone is the main coverage safeties are in. This is very important that it, you know, it is a high number because you don't want them getting beat as well, because it is important for these guys to help with when it comes to helping out corners if they're, you know, part of the zone, going deep down the field, whatever. You want to make sure they can be able to support that. And then there's man coverage also. I'm going to throw it in there. It depends on your play style. If you're a guy that likes to blitz a lot, then you're going to see your safeties get put into a lot of man-to-man coverage against wide receivers. So it is important that you go ahead and have that covered. And then we're going to throw on speed as well. Once again, speed's important when it comes to the receivers, corners, secondary, whatever. You don't want to get burned by receivers on deep balls. Plus, that helps you get to the ball carrier a lot quicker as a safety. Finally, we're going over the corners, and we're going to say man coverage, zone coverage. We'll put them both up. Very important. Both need to be ideally in the upper 80s because that's their job. Cover the receivers. You know, that's the only thing that got man zone, whatever. So it's very important. These are the guys that are going to stop the other team from catching the football. And then once again, we're going to throw in play recognition. It's important, as always, for all these guys in coverage to be able to recognize the play very quickly. Then we're going to throw in speed. Speed's important. Again, you don't want, you know, as we've been mentioning with the safeties, you don't want these guys blowing by them, getting the deep balls, or even running across the field and just blazing past them because they're a lot faster. I mean, you know, 90 to 88 ain't going to be killer, but if your guy's got a 81 speed and their wide receivers are all dropping 89, 90s, that might be a problem for you. And then finally, we'll just throw in press coverage. Why not? I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, of course, you got to do it. It depends if you're into doing a lot of presses or not. It obviously, press coverage is the counter to a wide receiver's release. So if a wide receiver has a low release, you have a high press coverage, it's going to help them, you know, or it's going to help stop them from running that route. And obviously, so as for this video, guys, I think that pretty much covers it all. If you want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. If there's other things you want to see, again, just let me know. I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.